modes. We got a lot to talk about. Hey guys, hope you're all having a fantastic day out there, and thank you for joining me in today's lesson video. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about something that's highly controversial, okay? We're going to talk about the taboo bad word of music, okay? Well, at least for guitar players it is, and that is modes. Primarily the major scale modes. This single topic has flipped the guitar community upside down so many times it's not even funny at this point. It's actually kind of annoying. No matter if you're on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Ultimate Guitar or just wherever, you're going to come across modes. And the worst part about all of this is a lot of people don't even understand what modes are. So like, they watch a few videos, they read a few articles, they misunderstand it completely, and then they go and they preach it to somebody else, and then they misunderstand it completely. And then at the end of the day, everybody's got a different view on modes, and everybody's confused and annoyed. And this is something that affects all players, okay? It's not just a beginner issue. It's everybody. Intermediate, advanced, everyone. Alright, so before I start this lesson off, I just want to say if you are a beginner, okay, you should not be looking at this video, or any mode video for that matter. Modes are really unimportant right now for you. You should focus on the major scale, the minor scale, just understand the formulas of those, understand the intervals, understand how to build chords, and, all that basic stuff first, before you even come close to thinking about modes, all right? You should have both of those, major and minor scale concepts down really solid. All right, so having said that, let's go ahead and jump right into the lesson. I first want to talk about the two different perspectives of how people teach and approach modes, okay? Both are useful. They both have their, pros and cons and whatever. We'll cover that later on. But let's first just talk about the two general concepts of how you learn modes and what a mode is. So there's the diatonic approach, okay? And then there's the parallel approach. I prefer the parallel approach, and I'll tell you why later. All right, so let's first talk about the diatonic modes, okay? This is the most common approach to teaching modes, okay? It's not my preferred method, but it's the most common way that, people learn about modes, and it's where a lot of confusion happens. So, first, what is a diatonic mode? Modes are derived from the parent key, right, or scale, in this case. So, let's say we have C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, back to C, right? The same 7 notes repeat, yada yada. We have 7 positions you learn that scale in if you do the 3-note per string system, which I highly recommend. And each one of those has a modal name. So like, Ionian shape 1, Dorian shape 2, Phrygian shape 3, and yada yada. And that's why they would call it diatonic modal playing, because I would say C, shape 1, Ionian, shape 2, D Dorian, shape 3, E Phrygian, shape 4, F Lydian. But there's a problem with this. These aren't modes by themselves, right? We need harmonic context to give them life. Otherwise, the notes are just kind of, C major in a different position. People can argue and say, well, Lester, if you're playing, D Dorian, which is starting on the D note, right, the second note of the major scale, I'm playing Dorian then, see? Which would be true if there was a harmonic context happening, like maybe a D minor chord in the background or something. But in the situation we're in, without any background, right, without any harmonic context, it just sounds like C major in the second position. There's nothing modal happening. This is where people get really confused, because they assume that if they play a certain shape, regardless of the harmonic context, it must be that mode. So let me give you an example. I have a looper pedal plugged in. You can kind of hear that. So I don't change anything here. I'm just playing literally a C power chord, just the root and fifth, to keep it fair. I'm not using the third, I'm not using anything other than just the root and fifth. Now, let's say I play C major Ionian, okay? Just regular shape. Okay, very majory, very beautiful. But if I play shape 2, does that mean I'm playing Dorian? No, there's no Dorian happening there, right? It just sounds like C major. So that's the issue. because of the harmonic context not matching the scale that I'm playing, it just sounds like the major scale in the second position, which is what it is. Instead of thinking of each shape as the mode, I want you to start thinking of each shape as just the major scale in the next position, okay? 7 notes of the major scale means that there's 7 starting positions, right? Each note taking a turn being the tonal center. This isn't exactly the worst way to learn modes if you have the harmonic context applied, right? So if I said, oh, hey, I'm going to play a D minor chord, or I'm going to play a D9, or maybe I want to play a D minor 6, and I want to do that Dorian, then yeah, that would work really well because the harmonic context is there. All right, so let's try another example, shall we? Let's put the loop back on, just the C power chord, root and fifth, and what I want to do this time is play, I don't know, shape 4, right, of C major, and y'all play it down here for convenience. That does not sound like a mode. So again, without the right harmonic application, right, using the right chords in the background, the modes aren't going to come to life and you're just going to be stuck playing the major scale in a different position. Alright, so that's diatonic modes. Now let's talk about parallel modes. What are parallel modes? Well, let me put it to you like this. Could you imagine playing every single mode or every single scale over the same chord? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how in a second, but first let's talk about what a parallel mode is. So, parallel mode means you're using the same tonal center, in this case, let's say C, to play all your modes. So, parallel from each other, from parallel scales. So, if I go from, let's say, C Ionian, and then I go to, I don't know, let's say C Lydian, to C Mixolydian, and then I play, let's say, C natural minor, C Phrygian, okay, C Dorian, C Locrian. That would be playing modes parallel, meaning I'm using the same tonal center, C in this case. I mean, you can use any you want, but I'm just using C for an example, and I'm working through those modes one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and play these over the same loop I made earlier, right? That C power chord. And remember, because there's no third, and it's just a root and fifth power chord, it gives me the complete creative freedom to play any mode I want in a parallel context. And I'll go ahead and walk through each one from the major modes to the minor modes, and I'm going to talk about them as I do it. So here we go. Pretty sound, right? Remember, this is just Ionian I'm using. It's just straight major. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 intervals. Now, I'm going to play the next major mode, which is Lydian. So that's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. Kind of a pretty sound. Joe Satriani, those guys use it a lot with the little... Forgive the sloppy playing, but you get the idea. I'm no Jazz Satriani, but anyways. Now let's do Mixolydian. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. This sounds like Discovery Channel music to me, or like Australian blues. I don't know, it just has that sound, right? I don't know, it has that certain flavor to it. Anyways, getting sidetracked, sorry, I got a little ADD. So, minor scale now. Root, 2nd, flat 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6, flat 7. Very ballady, very minor-y. It's just a regular minor scale. Okay, the next mode is, say, Dorian. So that's a minor scale with a raised 6th or a natural 6. So 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7. Okay. Beautiful sound. I love that personally. Dorian's my favorite, I think. Okay, anyways, Phrygian. So that's root, flat 2nd, flat 3rd, 4th, 5th, flat 6, flat 7. So a lot of flats in that one. It's a mouthful. Blech. Nice little, like, kind of dark sound, right? Now, you could take this one step further and practice all your harmonic minor modes and melodic minor. So I'll give you a quick example. I'm not going to play all of them, but just, you know, get you a quick clue on this. So harmonic minor. Kind of cool. And you can do like Phrygian Dominant, another example. ready, right? And then we can do something like Melodic Minor. So on and so forth. I mean, you could play this with anything. The whole point of me showing you this is to show you, well, how to do parallel modes, right? So I'm just walking through any scale of my choosing, or any mode of my choosing, over that power chord. And again, it works because there's no third. That's diatonic modes and parallel modes we talked about so far, okay? But none of it means anything if you don't understand harmonic context, meaning the chords that you can play them over and how to actually make them sound musical. You need to first understand how to build chords out of your major scale like I talked about earlier. Then we just do the same thing with our modes. So let's say it like this. Let's say C major, we know we have the chords of, obviously C major, D minor, E minor, F major, right? I'm doing 7th chords, but just going through this quickly. G dominant 7, A minor 7, B half diminished, or minor 7 flat 5, back to C major, okay? Then you would just do the same thing for each scale, right? So you think, okay, well, let's see, C Lydian. Okay, well, C Lydian is basically like in the key of G major, you could think. So yeah, we could just, if you want to start with C major, D7, E minor 7, F sharp half diminished, right? G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, back to that C major 7. All right. Let's say you have a backing track going and it's C major, G, D minor, A minor, C major, G, D minor, A minor. So I'm gonna go ahead and loop that real quick. Let me just go ahead and erase my old loop here, sorry. So yeah. That's just playing C major, right? And there's no modal context happening. I mean, it kind of has that resonance where it goes to A minor a bit, so it's still, though, it's C major, A minor, it's still the parent key. It's not anything like modal happening. You can't say I'm playing Dorian here or anything. So let's say you want to do something like a Dorian progression. Well, it'd be important to play a minor chord as the tonal center, right? So if I'm doing C Dorian, for instance, I'm going to use either a C minor 11, C minor 6, or C minor 7 chord. So let's make that kind of a pattern, just like a vamp. And I'm going to switch to, let's say, the 4th chord of Dorian. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn this into a dominant 7 chord, okay? That's the rule of thumb for Dorian. So here we go. Let's do a minor 6. Switch that chord. Now that gives me a nice Dorian flavor because I'm really accenting that natural 6th degree, which appears in that dominant 7 chord. Nicely, right? Heck yeah. So that's a Dorian sound. So that's important. The Lydian one, it could be a little more ambiguous, like I said. Like if you're doing, like I would do something like this where you're just really accenting that C as the root note, and you're playing a C major, and add like a type of D inversion over that. So it sounds like this. Very similar to like Tom Petty. pretty sound, right? And it gives it that Lydian context. If I want to do something that's Phrygian, let's say in C also, I'm going to accent the minor. And I'm going to go to like, oh, I don't know, maybe something like this type of voicing. Right? I'm going to add that flat second as a chord. So. Sounds really nice, right? And it really blends that in, you know, with that modal sound. Now, I'm not saying you have to use this exact progression or, you know, you have to do a whole song with that progression. But if you want to use a mode in a song that you're writing or over a jam track, you have to make sure that you're following the chord structure of whatever it is that they wrote or whatever it is you're putting together. Because you can't make modes fit where they don't belong. Okay? If you want to make a mode fit somewhere, you have to make sure you, well, either change the chords to make it fit in that one specific location, and you have to really accent that tonal center, right? This means using that chord of whatever it is you're playing. So if I have a song that sounds like this, for instance, let's say I'm playing C. So F minor. Okay, let's say I do that for like a pattern here. Okay, this is going to modulate from C major to C minor. That gives me a chance to play F melodic minor. So see what I'm saying? I can kind of modulate the scale here. That fits really well. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to blend Dorian in somewhere, but your song doesn't have a Dorian sound to it. Well, check this out. Let's say I have a progression that goes like this. I'm going to go E minor, D, A minor. But then let's say in the bridge, I switch to E minor, A7. That lets the Dorian breathe in there, right? So I can do that. Has pentatonic with it, and there you go. But then when you're done, you go back to your... So you can make any mode fit anywhere you want, but you have to have the right chords. That's the point. So chords are more of the mode than the scale sometimes, because yeah, you'd have the scale and you can know the intervals and all that mumbo jumbo, but if you're not playing it over the right chords, it's going to sound awful and you're going to feel frustrated, and it's not going to sound modal, number two, so it's going to kill the whole point of what you're doing. So the takeaway here with this whole lesson is learn your major scale and minor scale in and out perfectly. Know all the intervals, all the chords you can build out of them. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to use your modes. And then you got to learn each mode individually in a parallel context. So like learn C Ionian, C Dorian, C Phrygian, C Lydian, C yada yada. So learn all your C modes, how they relate to your parent major or minor scale, and what chords you can build out of them, as well as what chords they work best over. So playing them over the tonic chords. So like C Ionian should go over a C major chord. C Lydian should probably go over a C major 7 chord. C Dorian, probably a minor chord, or minor 7 or minor 6 chord. you need to really, work on that. Play over backing tracks. See if you can implement modes in certain places. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay too. At least you tried it. Write it down, what worked and what didn't work, and then move on to the next thing so you can get better at it. This is the whole point of getting better at scales and improvising and playing in general. And it's what I've done a lot over the years myself. I've done a lot of studying on this and a lot of practice with it. So sit down, have fun, learn your scales and your modes. Don't think about it too hard. And if you're a beginner and you watch this whole video, I'm sorry you watched this. I don't recommend you practice any of this. And again, learn your major scale theory and everything else first before jumping into modes. It's not that complicated, but it can be complicated when you have the wrong information. So keep that in mind. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. Don't kill the messenger, man, all right? I'll catch you guys in the next video. Rock on.